Hi guys, today we're talking about Starfield and some other AAA games. Um, so yeah, it's mid. I don't know what else to say. It's not great. Again, nothing in it is super. I mean, there are some things that are broken, but it's at the end of the day, it's a Bethesda game, and it does not feel different from their other games. It doesn't feel distinct. It doesn't feel unique. It feels like any other kind of generic space exploration game. The shocking thing is that it does not have No Man's Sky-esque flying, which is that you get in your ship and you fly around and you fly towards the atmosphere and you exit. Outer Worlds also does that, and those are both basically started as indie games. So a AAA studio can't manage something that probably should have been in there. So there's one aspect of just Bethesda can only make the type of games that Bethesda can make, and they've like reached their limit, I guess. And the other thing too is that, game design, it's at the point now where it's such a large team. It's so expensive now that it's no longer feasible to do something new. They just want to make the same thing over and over again, and they want to have a slow death. The crazy thing is that this doesn't only extend to like Starfield, but it's. I mean, the gunplay is the best it's ever been, which is weird. It reminds me in a weird way of No More Heroes 3, which is not a AAA game, but people kind of come there for the story and the music and the presentation, and everything No More Heroes 3 was awful, terrible, except for the combat. The combat has been the best it's ever been in the series, probably. It's really smooth. It's really fun. The finishers are fun. Even the outro, the kill, like, that's great. But everything else in that game sucks, and it's just weird. So I think the problem is that when you have these large teams, you don't have a focus. You don't have a direct focus, which is why I really prefer AA teams, where you have lots of experience, but a small team of like 20 to 30 people who are making a passionate project. Halo Combat Evolved was made like that. Hellblade was made like that. I just want more games to be like that. But yeah, Starfield, the load screens, like seriously, the amount of load screens, it's so bad, man. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, you have all of these individual things which are fine on their own, but nothing comes together. I hate the design of like the city and like the Constellation office. Like, there's nothing super bad about it. It just feels out of place. It doesn't feel like a real lived-in universe. It feels like people just populated a bunch of assets in a game engine. There's also 5 billion things to pick up, and you're not supposed to, but because I can see it and I know I can or I could, I'm tempted to. And every little thing has a description, has a little like this is an earth spoon designed by whatever, a little snippet about it. It'll have a weight, it'll have an item. And so I guess the gameplay meta is that, okay, just ignore all this stuff, ignore the lore and all the details we put in the world. I'm like, that's not how games should be. It's like, if there is a details or the thing, I should be expected to engage with it. And everything is a full 3D model, like it's all super modeled really well. The thing that really, I don't know, puts me off is I understand it's early space exploration, so it's kind of based on the tech of the 60s if put in the future, but it really is supposed to be in the future in a realistic way. And you're on this space station and they have pens and paper. Like, I don't think so, my dude. I do not think that we're gonna ditch phones and digital equipment for pens and paper when we go into space. Maybe there's a reason for it, but I just don't see it. It's weird. It was like it's the 60s technology but brought forward, which is just what Fallout is, you know? It's, I don't know. But yeah, you know, the whole story, you find an artifact, you have a vision, Mass Effect, and you have to put the pieces together and find them, and you're like, oh, da, 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 and it's like, okay. Yeah, of course the character models are ugly. I mean, they're not that bad, but when you see a bad one, it's really noticeable. It kind of breaks your immersion. It's like you're playing like a game and there's a Smurf or something. There's like a magical creature that you like recognize from some Hasbro or trademark company, and you're like, oh, okay, that's weird, I guess. Um, yeah, I don't know. But the biggest problem with these games is, again, they don't have focus. They're too big. The team's too big. The money's too big. It doesn't feel like anything new. Like, you know, games like Elden Ring or Tunic even take a pre-existing formula or and do something new with it. I love Tunic. Oh my god! But there's so much stuff in Starfield that I've seen before, and it's not necessarily done better, except for the gunplay, which is only slightly like better. It's not. So the whole thing just feels like a wash. Not great, not fun, not super whatever. I'm not crazy about it at all, obviously. But what I wanted to talk about, how this extends to other games where the history of game design has always been pushing the limit, pushing the bar, pushing the technology and the realism and the graphics and the realism. And so this is like the problem that I envisioned, but I just didn't think it would end up exactly like this. Which is that I played games recently like GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, and I had started both those games. And new Rockstar, I hate them. Their games aren't fun. It's so bizarre because there's so much effort that has gone into everything, and everything is like top quality, from the menus, the weapon select, the missions, whatever. But it's getting to the point where for game developers, they're no longer focusing on being a movie game or being like a story-based narrative game or being something unique. They're focusing on just making the game as realistic as possible. What does that lead us to? Sims. Actually, I was going to say Spaceship Heartbreaker or whatever is actually more of a space sim than Starfield. But Starfield feels more like a sim game. Even though it has a direct narrative and a story, it's just so generic that there's nothing about it that pops off. There's nothing about it that's like, oh wow, this is weird or unusual or interesting or strange. It's like generic space game by Bethesda. It's the same reason why I do not care about the new Assassin's Creeds. Well, actually, I stopped playing them after like 3, I think, because 3 was so bad. I played a bit of 4, but God, it's just like, there are just some games where, like the new ones, like they got rid of the whole Desmond story. There's no overarching whatever. And it's just become this thing of, you are a Egypt simulator. You are a Greek simulator. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a modern day mafia simulator. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western simulator. You're just in the world. And yes, we have like a tailored story, but it's so uninteresting and so generic that you can kind of basically make your own story up as you play it. Or like, at least I wish you could or should do that, or I would encourage you to do that, like Skyrim or something. But everything feels so polished and so neat and so soulless. Like Red Dead 2, I just didn't care. I just did not care at all. And it's so funny because I thought, am I different? Is there something going on? Like, what is this? Was the first one really that good? And there's the second mission or something, where John Marston is in there, and you immediately feel his charisma, and you feel the passion that was poured into making that character, and it's just, it's so good. And then you go back to the rest of the group and the cast, and they're fine. Believe me, Arthur Morgan, I like him, but I do not like him nearly as much as John. John is just, and again, I had the same issue even with Red Dead 1, is that when at the end of the game you play as his son Jack, it's not the same. I didn't want to play the game anymore because Jack was not a fun character. And it's such a weird, interesting thing about, like, the narrative of the game versus the narrative of the character. Like, do you want to have a character that you play as, or do you want to have no character and simply impose or inject your own persona onto your fields and adventures, which is more like the Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls games, and Fallout 2 to some extent. I love Fallout 3. I love Skyrim and Morrowind. Morrowind is ridiculously good in terms of its story. Like, I was like, okay, I can see why people really, really like Morrowind. And I only played it recently. But yeah, modern gaming is becoming highly advanced, monetary, predatory simulator games. And the only hope I have now is in AA or indie, which is single A, I guess. But yeah, like, AAA games are just consistently not fun, and they simply exist to drain your wallet via hype. And, like, it keeps happening. I play the brand new release AAA game, and it's never bad. It's just okay. It's mid. It's like the friggin' Mega 64 skit about, like, quadruple A gaming, and that all the money is poured into it, and the guy at the end of the day is like, it's fine. That's literally where we are right now. It's literally what it is. And then you have, like, Volition, who makes one bad game, one bad Saints Row, and then they're under. It's like, I mean, I agree, the game looked like a piece of garbage, but I don't want the studio to go out of business. Like, then again, I was gonna say, I also, Gris came out on Game Pass, and that was a game that was really, really hyped up. Like, oh, this is the most emotional. Oh, you don't understand. It's like an emotional game where they have colors and feelings, and it's so beautiful. And I'm like, this is Journey. This is 2D Journey with watercolors, and like, your design is effed. It's screwed up because you have a hyper-realistic human face on, like, a stick figure body. No, it doesn't work. It does not work. When you're in gameplay, it's far away enough, you don't really notice, you don't really care. But in the art and the cutscenes, it's very just uncanny. It's uncanny. And Journey, you got a little 2 holes in your, like, you're good. And Journey is way, way better. Oh my god, but Gris was, like, trying. The poncho flapping in the wind. Hello. So I tried Gris, and I got through, like, the first area, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not about this. Like, it's fine. Like, it's very okay. Again, it's a very okay indie game where, you walk along, you go along, you uncover a little story or the universe and why the hand crumbled, and there's colors that need to be restored. Yeah, it's fine. Journey did a much better job, I think. I mean, obviously, but with Gris, it's just like, and you get a new ability, and that's like, hey, that's cool, that's nice, a new ability, and that's puzzle solving using your weight and whatever. And I just didn't care. I just Whatever. What'll happen to the Gris character? I don't care. I do not care because the world's not interesting. She's not interesting. The lore and the reason of the hand crumbling, I didn't care about that. I didn't care about any of it. Journey, you have this light fall down to the dune and your guy comes up. That's immediately like, okay, so is he like from space? Is he from wherever? And in Journey, you're like moving around and the music. Hey, look, if you don't got the music, it ain't gonna work. All right. But yeah, I basically that's all I wanted to say. The soullessness that's killing gaming is the hyperrealism because they don't know what else to do. Like honestly, if you're a millions of dollar company and you're like, well, let's make it as realistic as possible. Let's put as much things, as much stuff in it as possible. And again, I've said a million times, scope adjustment is killing games. And EA originals, as much as I hate them, are the right idea. Just make a double A team and make something good and small and packaged and focused instead of these bloated, endless, stupid games where we just have to watch journalists and people complain, oh, it gets good 12 hours in. Just shut up, please. But yeah, rant over. That's it. Don't buy Starfield, please. And yeah, pray for AAA gaming to die quickly and funnily, I guess. Bye.